Inside a modern intensive care unit, about 85% of the most critically ill patients experience a sudden, sharp drop in their blood calcium levels. For a long time, the medical response was to treat this like a simple shortage. Because calcium is vital for the heart and muscles to work, doctors instinctively injected more of it directly into the patient's bloodstream. However, when researchers began tracking the results of these injections, they found a disturbing pattern. Patients who received these calcium boosters actually faced higher rates of organ failure and were less likely to survive their stay in the ICU. Understanding this requires us to look at low calcium in a new way. It isn't a failure of the body, it is a sophisticated emergency protocol, a defensive engineering move designed to keep the patient alive. By treating the symptom without understanding the body's survival strategy, we were accidentally sabotaging the very mechanisms meant to protect a patient. Think of the bloodstream as a massive flowing river and the human cells as a complex town built right along the banks. The red vessel at the bottom of this diagram is the blood, where calcium is extremely high. Inside the cell at the top, it's 20,000 times lower. This allows the mitochondria, the power plant, to siphon a controlled trickle of calcium to generate energy. For this machinery to work, the inside of the cell has to stay almost entirely dry. Even a small amount of extra calcium inside would be like flooding a delicate electronics factory. In a healthy body, survival depends on keeping the vast majority of that calcium locked outside in the river, far away from the cellular power plants. When severe trauma or infection hits, it acts like a massive storm that tears through the town's protective outer flood walls. This diagram shows the consequence. As the Ca2 plus influx arrows show, blood calcium rushes through the broken walls into the cell. The power plant is overwhelmed, stops producing energy, and leaks toxic byproducts labeled ROS, creating massive internal stress. This internal flood triggers a chain reaction of destructive enzymes. These enzymes begin to dismantle the cell structure from the inside, eventually forcing the entire cell to shut down and die. In this critical state, the cells are essentially drowning in a toxic flood of the very mineral they usually use for power. With cell walls breaking down across the body, the internal flooding threatens to cause total organ failure. The body has to find a way to stop the leak. To save itself, the body intentionally pulls calcium out of the bloodstream. It effectively builds a dam upstream, drying up the flood source. Doctors call this low blood calcium hypocalcemia. It isn't a malfunction, it is a biological shield designed to protect the cells from further damage. This is where the old medical approach went wrong. When doctors gave IV calcium to fix the low numbers, they were essentially breaking the body's dam and reflooding the cells that were just beginning to recover. By manually raising the calcium levels in the blood, medicine was accidentally overriding the exact emergency mechanism that was keeping the patient alive. This shift in perspective is changing how modern intensive care units manage patients. ICU teams are moving away from routine calcium shots in cases of sepsis and shock. Today, when a sepsis patient has plummeting calcium levels, physicians recognize it as evidence of a massive internal battle, not a lack of nutrients. The current rule for many ICU doctors is to resist the urge to treat the number on the chart unless the patient is in a specific high-risk group, like those needing massive blood transfusions. Modern treatment focuses on clearing the underlying infection or trauma. Once the storm is managed, the body's own systems will safely restore the calcium levels on their own. The body isn't failing when calcium drops. It's building a dam to survive. Treat the storm and the river will eventually flow safely again.